Hello and welcome to My Security TV and our Tech and Sec Weekly. My name's Chris Cubbage. I'm the Executive Editor with My Security Media, and today we're going to be joined by Noushin Shabab, who is the Senior Security Researcher with Kaspersky. We have been joined by Noushin a few years ago, so this is our second or third interview with her, and we're going to be talking about STALKERWARE, working to reduce domestic violence. And I'll bring on Noushin now. Noushin, great to see you again.
Hello, Chris. Glad to see you too.
Very good. And just pre-interview, we were having to cast our minds back, but it was episode 118 with us on our Cybersecurity Weekly podcast back in 2018. And we were talking about your malware research that you were doing. You're a malware analyst and researcher. And this is a good one because obviously it sits into the family of malware, and we're going to be talking about stalkerware. And Kaspersky's recently released a report, and you've been working with WESNet, which is a women's services network here in Australia as well, on detecting stalkerware. So maybe I'll hand over to you how things have been during lockdown as well for you. And then also we'll cover off on the work that Kaspersky's been doing. So over to you.
Sure. Yeah, lockdown. Wow. Tell me about it. I hope it's
well, I take it you're working from home and your work hasn't really changed. If anything, it's exploded, I imagine. Is that how the experience has been?
Exactly. So yeah, work-wise, nothing has changed that much except for like traveling for conferences. That was the fun part.
Yeah. But you're also based in Melbourne, right?
Of the work. But yeah, working, staying at home, working sometimes overnight, sometimes over weekend. So yeah, nothing has changed in that area. But yeah, I actually got more time to spend on researching like different, working on different research topics because I was not traveling that much, not traveling at all. Yeah, and this was the topic that we are going to discuss today. Was a very important topic that came up a few years ago. We started working on the topic of stalkerware when we founded the coalition against the stalkerware with some other founding members in 2019. It was when we started seeing the rise in the concern about the stalkerware and people being spied on by their partners or ex-partners. So yeah, I think it's a very important topic, and I'm very happy that we are having this conversation today to share the research that we've done and improve the awareness in Australia.
Well, I'll highlight the report. It's Digital Stalking in Relationships report. About a quarter, 27% of the 1,004 Australian respondents surveyed said they see no problem with stalkerware. And I suppose it's how it's applied is also a key factor. One, in terms of the breakdown to the justify secret surveillance, I suppose that is the key difference, isn't it? If it's a secret or undisclosed application of this type of thing rather than for safety and you know that it's there. But it's the main one is obviously the domestic application of this by partners who don't trust their partner or who want to keep tabs on their partner without them knowing. And the other one is obviously on kids and teenagers as well. There's a bit of disparity here. Younger Australians surveyed are more inclined to think this activity is appropriate, 14% of 16 to 34-year-olds compared to 4% aged over 55. How prevalent do you think this is? And maybe I'll flip that around, and how easy is it to get your hands on applications like that and then install them?
Sure, that's very concerning, actually, Chris. We've worked with WESNet, which is a big body to help work with. They've had lots of experience, like almost, I guess, 70% of their frontline workers have experiences with people who were being stalked on by their intimate partners, and and digital devices were being abused for this sort of violence. So I guess, yeah, it's very alarming, the numbers, and to get a little bit of understanding of how easy it is to install a StalkerWare app, or get hands on such application. It's commercially been been sold, and it's not very difficult to find such an application. Sometimes these applications are disguised as a parental control application, or this sort of applications that you use to find your device if it's been stolen, or or you've lost it somewhere. But these are applications that are used by intimate partners to spy on their partners, and it's quite easy to install. The only thing that is used is physical access to the mobile phone, or a tablet, whatever device it is. And it just like installing a normal application, just takes a few minutes to install, and there are usually very specific and detailed guides on the websites of these applications to show to how to install the app, how to give it all the accesses that it requires, and how to configure it in a way that the user wants. So basically, with the statistics that we collected, people are not very unlikely to give their mobile phones to their partners, even if when the statistics and their responses show that it might not be a very healthy relationship, but people trust their partners in a way that they give them their phone, or they share their passwords. So it's just a few minutes.
I'll read some stats here. I think that's indicates the fact that it's easy. 1 in 10 Australian respondents have admitted to either installing monitoring apps on their partner's phone or misusing a smart home device to monitor a partner's activity without their knowledge or consent. So that's 1 in 10. And then you've got 15% of people worldwide say a partner has requested to install a monitoring app on their device, and 34% of those had already experienced abuse by an intimate partner. And it's continues to be topical, unfortunately, here in Australia, domestic violence and violence against women as well. So I suppose this brings us to not just highlighting the issue of StalkerWare, but some of the work that Kaspersky's been doing here. And I can see there's a coalition against StalkerWare with 40 member organisations looking to work with victim support and sort of counter this issue. And they're obviously working with the likes of, say, Interpol, the Tor Project, Refuge UK, and Wesnet. You've teamed up, I can see here, Kaspersky's teamed up with Interpol, Wesnet, and the National Network to End Domestic Violence in the US. Maybe just talk us through that, because then we'll start to talk about TinyCheck, and we will play a video on TinyCheck to introduce us. But maybe talk us through the work that Kaspersky's been doing, and also TinyCheck in terms of how that can assist.
Sure. So talking about the coalition, it was founded in 2019, and we grew from a fewer number of founding members to 40 members right now. These organizations are security companies, or digital advocacy organizations, and also organizations that work with domestic violence survivors. Yeah, we've done different projects during the past few years. One of the recent ones, the one that you mentioned, we worked with Interpol to train and educate their officers all around the world about the issue of a StalkerWare, how to detect it on a device, and basically talking about the TinyCheck. That's a tool that we've worked on and developed to help facilitate the detection of a stalkerware on a phone with lowest risks that this checking and detecting might arise in the process of violence and abuse. So talking about TinyCheck.
Yeah, let's talk about some TinyCheck. It's obviously just as easy to install Stalkerware as it potentially is to detect it, and something like TinyCheck can assist. And there's a few recommendations here as well to go through that process, because you've got to be prepared if you do detect stalkerware, what you're going to do next. There's
Exactly.
something to be ready for. So what are the considerations, and where do you get something like TinyCheck?
Exactly, sure. So basically, to detect the stalkerware it's not very difficult. It's even as easy as running an antivirus check on a device. But the problem is that sometimes people are aware of the issue of a stalkerware, and they might suspect that there's a stalker, but they don't know that if it's detected by an antivirus and it gets deleted and uninstalled on a device, it might escalate the abuse, because the user of the stalkerware, like the perpetrator or the person who installed the stalkerware on their phone, might get notified that the application is uninstalled from the phone, and this might see the problem escalated. That's the main reason the idea of TinyCheck came to one of our researchers' mind. This was back in 2020. So we were looking for a way to detect the existence of stalkerware on a phone without interfering with its application, and running the device itself, installing an antivirus, or connecting it to a laptop, or things like that. Basically, in a less invasive way. So TinyCheck is a device. It's a tool that is basically designed to be installed on a Raspberry Pi computer device, to make it more to make it to work with, and make it portable, and make it like a standalone device for this activity. So TinyCheck is a tool that is installed on the Raspberry Pi device, and it basically scans the network traffic, outgoing and incoming network traffic from a phone, to check this network traffic against the stalkerware application servers, to make sure that this device is connecting to a stalkerware server or not, and how it is communicating with this server. In this way, without installing anything specific on a device, or even connecting the device, the mobile phone, to a computer system, you and understand if it's been communicating with a stalkerware server or not. And then if it finds out that the device is communicating with a stalkerware server, it collects some information about the server and which app is been communicating with this server. And then you can download the short report that says it has detected something, and also a more comprehensive report that can be used as an evidence of stalkerware installed on a device. You can download them on a USB drive, and then can use them later in that is suited your situation.
Well, I suppose that comes down to what is the legislative framework around this. If it's your partner and you've installed something secretly, and they may well have given you access to their phone, I'm not aware of any potential illicit breach there. But obviously, if there's a domestic violence order or some sort of order in place, that comes into play. Is that, am I right there?
So it's very complicated. I think it all depends on different legislations and how like different evidence could be used. I'm not saying that this evidence, like this report from the tiny check device, is can be effective in country same as other countries, but it can definitely be an evidence or can give the victim some sort of peace of mind that they have something in hand. Yeah,
it informs them that it's there, and it provides those details. I take it things like the time it was installed or how often it's reporting back to the server. Now, there is some recommendations here. We will release this out into the show notes as well for anyone listening, but it's things like do not rush to remove that stalkerware, and that's why, hence why this is a separate device that you then save that onto a USB. So you're not actually interfering with the installed stalkerware.
Exactly.
You're just grabbing those details to say, yep, it's there. These are the details around it. And that allows you to make some decisions on what you're going to do next. Then you can contact your local authorities and service organisations supporting victims of domestic violence, such as WESNet. Then there's some, you might start to do some research or reach out to your own networks in terms of what was installed, and then use proven cybersecurity protection solutions to run a check on your device. Would basic, let's say the Kaspersky solution or the Kaspersky platform for security detect something like this if it was installed?
So that's a very good question, Chris. This is actually one of the main works that we've done through the correlation. We were trying to define better like definition for stalkerware and help other security software organizations get up to date with this definition as well. So basically, we were trying to improve the detection of stalkerware on our security softwares, or that when there's a stalkerware installed on someone's device, it's not treated like a normal malware or a normal spyware on the device, and people actually get notified and get educated about the application that's been detected on their device, that it is a stalkerware, and it indicates that someone, an intimate partner, might be stalking on you through this app.
Because I think likewise, it might be that if it is installed, rather than block it or the like, it could be you might have a secondary notification to say, hey, someone has just installed stalkerware on your device as well, rather than just blocking that. The other question I had is the prevalence of IoT devices, say a smart TV. We're getting into the mode of smart ovens and smart fridges as well. The application of stalkerware could also apply to any device connected. That would be correct. And would this also pick up that type of installation?
That's a good question. It's not, I mean, not that the same applications can be installed on like a smart TV or like devices, but when we worked with WESNet, specifically the national peak body in Australia, and we talked about their experiences, how they have been like digital devices, like IoT devices being abused to facilitate stalking or spying on an intimate partner. And they have had lots of experiences that other devices have been used to basically to stalk or to abuse a partner, but in a different way. So it's not the same like a stalkerware applications installed on them, but they have been used in terms of digital abuse and like in terms of domestic violence as well.
Yeah. Well, look, it's one of those things that I think, unfortunately, as we highlighted in terms of even just the report, domestic violence is an ongoing issue around the world, but also here in Australia in particular. And the other troubling part here is 8 in 10 Australians do not know what stalkerware is. So I suppose that awareness that it's out there is also a big factor. And I suppose it's that digital divide between those that are sort of digital aware and those that might not be. And again, there's a bit of correlation there, is there not, between that digital awareness and also their propensity to be involved in a domestic violence?
That's very true, Chris. I think 8 in 10 Australians not knowing about the stalkerware, it's a very concerning and alarming statistics. But again, that 20% also might indicate that these people have had experience with the stalkerware, maybe as a victim or as a user. That's also alarming. But yeah, we are working to improve the awareness, and thank you for this podcast. I'm sure that it will help with improving this awareness in Australia. With the Australian audience in a great way.
Very good. Well, look, just a summary. I mean, the issues of stalkerware, they can monitor internet activity, record your location, take screenshots of your device, and then also record video and audio. So there's a lot that can be done once you've got access to these devices, hence why it's quite critical in terms of detecting, particularly if you're in that type of situation. And the other one, call to action here, if you want to find out more, there's a coalition against stalkerware. That's stopstalkerware.org. And we'll have some of these links in our show notes as well as to the report, and also to the video on Tiny Check as well, where we've also played that video. So Noushin Shabab, the Senior Security Researcher there in Melbourne for Kaspersky, it's great to have you back on with us today. And hopefully we'll catch up soon, maybe in 2022.
Hopefully, it was great to talk to you again, Chris. Thank you
Great. All the best.
for this.
Thank you.